So today we are looking at the Ximper Linux. So here is the boot menu. So the version of a Ximper Linux is 0.9.2. It should be sounding like a simple Linux, but it's a Ximper Linux. I can't press it and say properly, but you can get an idea of what I'm saying here. Let's change the language to English because it's a Russian language. So nowadays I'm just getting a lot of Russian Linux distros. Almost I covered 3 or 4 videos in this month, I guess. So I don't have really any topic. So do let me know in the comment section. We can use another Linux distros also. So here we have boot options. I don't have any hate with any country or anything like that. So we are tired of just seeing the same Linux distros because I don't really have any type of content. So that's the reason I'm asking you. If you have any Linux distros, do let me know in the comment section. I am going to make a video on it. And do check in my channel because I almost covered like a 3000 videos of almost every Linux distros, from ancient Linux distros to the latest version. So always check that Linux distro which I already made or not, and let me know in the comment section so we can make a content on it. So let's get back to the boot menu. So these are all the options you get from the Ximper Linux. So this is the NVIDIA support versions. There is also the default version. I'm going to show that in the official website. So live CD, no hard disk needed. Live CD with session support. I'm going to boot it in a live boot because it's always a good option to boot it in a live boot first. Then after you're satisfied and working for almost 2 to 3 days, then you can go with the installation. So again, you need to get all the information before installing any unknown Linux distros. If it's a known Linux distro, you can just blindly install. Just you need to see whether it's a stable ISO file or not. For example, like a Ubuntu, Manjaro, and Linux Mint, this type of Linux distros. But these are some of the unknown Linux distros, so that's the reason I'm warning you. So it's always a good option. Try it in a virtual box, virtual machine. If you want, you can install it on the virtual disk and you can test it for 2 to 3 days and get all the possible information. Don't just blindly watch YouTube channels and try to install, whether it's me or any other channels. Try to get all the information on your own and search on the web and get all this information. So I forgot to mention that I'm running it on a virtual machine, which is VMware, with 60 GB of hard disk, 8 GB of RAM, and my CPU is i5 1240p. So it's almost like a latest hardware. It's exactly not latest because right now the 14th generation is already available in the markets. So that's the reason it's just 2 generations old. So if you have a low-end PC, you need to get the information whether you can run this type of Linux distro or not. Like you need to get information of system requirements. We need to go to their website and get like a system requirements. So in order to run almost every Linux distro, I'm talking about like a 70 to 80% of every Linux distro, you need to have almost latest generation CPU. If not, at least you need to have 6th generation or 7th generation, and you need to have like a i3 or i5. You should be good. You can run almost 70 to 80% of Linux distros. And with the RAM, you need to have at least 4 GB of RAM because it's 2024. You need to have you need to have like a 4 GB of RAM in order to run almost every type of Linux distro. So let's get back to the video. So the version is Ximper Linux. The code name is Alice, and there is a lag when I'm moving around the application, as you can see. So there are some hiccups. So the default desktop environment you get is a GNOME desktop environment. So it automatically changes the display settings. My monitor is 1920 into 1080. Here you can even take a tour. So the boot time it took almost like maybe 40 to 50 seconds. It was very quick because I was talking continuously. So I didn't edit or anything. I'm done there. So let's begin. So get an overview. Powerful search, stay organized with workspace. So again, these are from the GNOME desktop environment, so we don't need to see that because we already know how it works. Let's open the systems and monitor to get how much of resources we are using here. Let's open the system monitor. So we need the default system monitor, we don't need this thing. So it's almost like same as the Linux Lite, I guess. So CPU it says as 100%. Let's see here. It is consuming 100% of CPU for some reason. So I'm going to close this. Before that, let's check the about section. 2.26.0. This is a system monitoring center. So I'm going to close this, and we just use the default system monitor. So these are all the process running right now. So as you can see, I didn't open any of the application other than the system monitor. So we didn't open any of the applications. So these are all the default or the base system resource consuming. So I didn't open any of the applications. So you can get an information. It will consume almost 2 GB when you boot it. So again, you need to consider it's a live boot. I didn't install it on my hard disk or anything like that, or a virtual disk. So it should be more or less when you install this operating system on the hard disk or a virtual disk, like a maybe 300 200 MB of difference. That should be the difference, not a major like a 600 700 or maybe a GB of difference. You don't see that much of difference. So let's keep the system monitor in the right side corner so you can see all the changes throughout the video. Keep an eye on the CPU and RAM throughout the video so you can see whether to use, or you can get an idea whether to use this type of Linux distro or not. If you're a developer, I'm going to say you can test it, but if you are a guy who want to install this type of Linux distro on your main PC or work PC, it's always a good option. Go with the known Linux distros instead of installing unknown Linux distros, because there is no major difference, or there is nothing fancy in this Linux distro. You just get a wallpaper, and the default desktop environment is GNOME desktop environment. You can just download the Ubuntu or Manjaro or any other well-known Linux distros. So that's the advice I'm going to give it to you. So let's open the internet browser. Let's see what browser we get in the Ximper Linux. So I don't see any browser here. Let's check in here. Utilities, you don't see anything here. Let's check in the taskbar. Chromium Ghost web browser. I think this is the web browser we get. Let's launch it. So cache is 2.5 GB, memory is almost 2.4 GB, and you can see CPU is not stable, but I can't see any lag or anything, major lags or anything. There is a bit of hiccups here and there, but that's okay. I don't know, there is some issue with the Russian Linux distros, or I don't properly know. Even in my previous videos of Russian Linux distros, which are from Russian Linux, so there are some like they consume a lot of resources like a CPU. I don't know what's the reason. Yesterday I made a video of Melave Linux, which is from Russia. So it also consumed a lot of resources. It also tortured me a lot of time because I need to boot the Linux distro almost 10 times in VirtualBox and VMware. It was a lot of issues. So it's clearly up to you to whether to use those type of Linux distro. I'm clearly recommending not to use those type of Linux distro. If you want to test it, you can test it on the virtual disk or VMware or VirtualBox or whatever you want, but don't try to install it on the main PC or work PC unless you try it and get the trust from them. So let's get back to the video and open the official website. Ximper Linux. So I don't know, some random thing popped out right here. So let's close it. Let's open the website. I hope we see a translation here, or else we need to go to Google Translate and change the language. I don't see any language change here, so I'm going to copy the link. Let me try to open the google.com. Hit enter. Before that, let's check the version we get here about Chromium Ghost. So it's based on Chromium, so it should be 127, I guess. The version is 124. So you get almost latest version, and it says as a ALT Linux 64-bit. So already made a lot of ALT Linux videos. You can check it out. I'm using a VPN, so that's the reason I'm seeing the Indian languages here. So let's try maybe like Google Translate. Let's open the Google Translate. Let's go to the link. Let's go to the websites. Let's type in or paste in the link here. And we should be seeing the website loaded, I guess. Here we should be seeing the website loaded in English, so we can read everything there. So Ximper Linux. Do let me know in the comment section. You can't even say that in the comment section because there is no audio there. You can just copy this Linux and put it in the translation to get what it is, how it is sounds, and we can get the information there. Usually I think it will be called like a Ximper Linux. So let me copy this and let's try the translation there, or voice translation. So rolling release distribution based on ALT Sisyphus with GNOME desktop. Sisyphus on board, minimum installation, uniform color, gamut in GTK and QT, and EPM. Good gaming performance thanks to PortProton. So the CPU is almost 100%. I don't think you can run this Linux distro for gaming, but when you install it should be more or less. I really don't know how it performs when we install this Linux distro on the hard disk, but right now when I'm trying to use it on a live boot, it's consuming almost 100% CPU. So that's all we get here. Let's see whatever we get here on the downloads. Here is some news. Let's go to the news and see what are the changes. So the version I downloaded is 0.9.2. So here we get all those things. Let it translate. So updating the image package database. Kernel 6.6.32. Mesa 24.0.8. And other updates. Thanks to the ALT team for their work. Added Russian indigenous certificates, EPM CA certificates. Added support for thumbnails of different file formats. And these are all the changes and some of the fixes. So basically you can get all the information by going to their website, or just you can pause the video and read everything on your own. So let's go to the download section. I'm going to show you how to download. Click on downloads, and here you have the two options, which is Ximper Linux 0.9.2 with NVIDIA support. The ISO file size is around 6.4 GB. You can download in your browser, or you can choose the torrent. And here is the other option, which is Ximper Linux 0.9.2. So you get the two options here. And in order to install the you can go with the go to install instructions. Let me open that. You can go to GitLab to explore the source code. You can support the project if you want. So let it get loaded. So we can't see anything here. So let's get to the download section. Download the ISO file. So it should be downloaded right now. Go to original page, and here we have the downloads. So I'm using a VPN, so that's the reason it says as 2 hours. So it should be more or less for you. So let's go to the translate. Let me paste in the, I think there was a lag, I guess. Can't even type in. Let's try to reload again. We can wait for it to become responsive or exit this page. Let's wait and see. So it is taking a lot of time. Let's try to close the tab here. So the RAM is almost 3.0 GB of 8. So for some reason it's not properly loading. So I'm going to exit. You can just go to the official website of Google and you can paste in Ximper Linux, or you can get what it is called or how it is pronounced. So I guess it's a Ximper Linux in my way, but it should be different. So let's open the console or the terminal and get some of the information here. Let me make it bigger. Let's check the version. So there is a lag again, 46.0. INXI. So here is the CPU and kernel and storage. Let me type in another command. INXI -b. So the desktop environment you get is a GNOME 46.1. Distro, it says Ethersoft Ximper 0.9.2. So again, I'm not going to read everything here because it's going to make a video lengthy. I don't want to make it lengthy. So even if I show some basic things, it's going to take almost 20 plus minutes. So I'm going to just type in things. INXI-F. You can just pause the video and read everything on your own, or you can change the playback speed. You get all the information. INXI-G. So you get all the Bluetooth information, network, drives, graphics, all those options or information. NeoFetch. It is the NeoFetch. cat /etc /issue. Hello friends, say app links to login in it. So that's what you get here. So let me type in INXI-SV8. Try to ignore my keyboard sound and mouse sound because I'm not going to edit anything because I want to keep a video raw as possible. So you can see proper changes and my proper mistakes. Whatever I properly can't say, you can easily find out. Try to ignore my mistakes because I'm not going to edit all those things. I just want to put it as raw as possible and give all the information properly. So that's my main objective. Yes, so if I make any mistakes, try to ignore it, or else you can blame me. I don't have any issue with it. So here is my memory, here is my machine, system, and all those things. CPU, vulnerabilities, graphics, display, monitor, audio. You get all the information in just typing that command, which is INXI-SV8. So let me type in desktop and close the console. So we got pretty much all the distro information, and command not found you can install if you want. So I'm going to close this thing and let's see the installer. So PortProton. So select the installation path or leave it default. It's a gaming thing, so I'm not going to install because I don't want to show you the gaming things. So let's find the installation here. I don't see any install option here. So let's try to search here. So here is the app install, package installer, and software installer. You can install it from the boot menu if you want. So let's check some display settings, like not the display settings like wallpapers and all the settings from the settings menu. So again, this is a GNOME desktop environment, so there will be nothing change here, but we still need to see what are the changes here. Bluetooth, display, the sound, power, multitasking. So this is a GNOME 46 desktop. So there will be no changes. Maybe in the wallpapers and some appearance there should be changes. So here is the dark theme and here is the default theme, which should be the light version. So let's try to change it. And CPU is 100% and we got already it's not responding. It's consuming a lot of resources here. So the RAM is almost 3 GB and cache is almost 3 GB. So we get some other wallpapers. I properly don't remember, and I think this wallpaper is from the Ximper Linux. I don't think it's from the GNOME desktop environment. Do let me know in the comment section. So again we need to wait because of things loading in the background. So these are all the wallpapers you get. So they are still loading. So these are from the Ximper Linux. Let's change it to this one. So you get a good wallpapers here, almost maybe 20 plus wallpapers I guess. Let's get to the apps. And you can see there was a lot of lag while choosing the other options. But we are good right now. Online accounts. Sharing. Mouse and touchpad. You can choose whatever you want. You can customize according to your wish. Here is the keyboard. You can create the shortcut also. Color, printers, accessibility, privacy and security. Here is the system. We didn't even see the system information. Operating system, Ximper Linux Alice. Hardware model. Here is my processor, memory, disk capacity. Here is the system details. OS build. It says as a Etasoft Ximper. So we saw all those things. Let's check some desktop features here. So these are all same as the GNOME. So there is nothing changes, and you don't see any other than some wallpapers and applications added. So if you ask me whether to use this Linux distro instead of Ubuntu or Manjaro or Linux Mint, so it's always a good option. Go with the known Linux distros instead of trying new here. So there is no fancy or anything to go with this Linux distro. You get same things from the Ubuntu and Manjaro, Linux Mint, Zorin. There's a lot of other desktop environments. You can choose from that instead of trying the unknown Linux distro. So it's also consuming a lot of resources, so I'm not going to recommend for you. But if you still want to try it, you can try it on your virtual machines. So preference, again these are all the same things. So if we at least had any changes in the desktop, like a fancy things added, just for the looks at least we should be trying, but we don't see any changes there. So I don't even say you need to try to test it in your virtual machine, but if you are a distro hopper you can do that. It's clearly up to you. So my opinion is better not to install. So let's go to the software center and let me try to do the stress test, which I usually do in every video by running almost maybe 15 to 20 applications at once. And the main objective of this test is to see whether all the applications are opened at once and switch the applications. And if we find any bugs or anything or crashes or anything like that, we can just assume that it's better to skip this Linux distro. So this test is basically for normal user who run day-to-day tasks by opening 4 to 5 applications at once and use for their work. So that's the main objective of this test. I'm going to open like a 15 to 20 applications at once to see whether it will crash or anything like that, we get any bugs or anything like that. So that's the main objective here. So I'll be doing this type of test in every Linux video. So if you are already my subscriber, you should be getting that information. So you can see there was a lag just opening some of the applications. So you can just ignore, because when you open all application at once, it should be a bit of lag, but we shouldn't see any crashes or anything like that. So you can get, or you can easily get an idea to whether to use this Linux distro for day-to-day tasks or not. So you can easily judge on your own instead of my perspective, or maybe my words, taking my word instead of, you can clearly judge on your own. So I opened almost like maybe 10 applications. Let's see what else we have here. Gradients, let me open that also. We already opened the tweaks. Let's even open the disks. So there is a lag when opening the applications, and let's even try to switch the applications. So these are all the pre-installed or the default applications you get from the Ximper Linux. So let's check the system monitor now. Let's wait until all the applications open, and let's try to switch the applications and see. So the RAM is almost 3.7 GB, cache is 3.6 GB, and you can just ignore the CPU part because there is a high graph here because we opened all the applications at once. But from the beginning of the video, you can judge that part. In the beginning of the video, it's almost 100% for some reason. So you can judge from that point of view, or from that. So I'm going to open the process and see what are all the processes running right now. So these are all the processes running, and with the RAM, CPU and all those things. Let's keep it resources, and I think everything is opened without any issue. Let's try to switch the applications now. Let's go from the front, let's go from the middle and from the back. So there is a millisecond of time, but everything is working fine. There is no lag or anything like that. So everything is opening instant, but there is a minor millisecond of lag. That's the only thing I can feel. Other than that, everything is fine. I didn't see any crash or anything like that. In the settings, while we were using the settings, there was some like a not responding option or the pop-up sound, but other than this errors, we didn't see any type of issue in this Linux distro. But the system resources CPU was having an issue. You need to consider that also, whether to use this Linux distro or not. So my final thoughts are, so this is not a well-known Linux distro, but it's a good Linux distro while using. So if you are trying, or if you are a distro hopper, or if you are a distro tester, or maybe the person who tried to test every type of Linux distro, you can go with this and install it in a virtual disk. But if you are a normal user, or a user who want to install any of the Linux distro, or if you're trying to find a Linux distro which you can install in your main PC or work PC, it's not a good option for you. It's always a good option to skip this type of Linux distro and try to install the well-known Linux distro which will be having long-term support, and you should be getting like a 4 or 5 years type that type of Linux distros, and you should be getting regular updates. You can choose those type of Linux distros. If you have a good NPC, you can go with this, go with that type of Linux distros, but don't go with this type of Linux distro because it's an unknown. And you want a main PC. For your main PC, it's a good option. Go download any known Linux distros. You can check it out in my channel, or you can just search in your browsers for your own information, or you can check other channels too to get that information. So it's your PC, you need to be very careful because it may ruin your PC. So that's the main objective of my channel, to not to ruin your PC. So always find on your own instead of watching any other channels. You can get the information, but don't rely on them and try to install and ruin your PC. It's always check like 5 to 6 channels, or maybe search in the Google, search in your favorite browsers, search with search engines, do all type of homework, and try to install it on your own instead of just watching someone's video and try to installing some random Linux distros. So that's my objective, and that's my point of view. So let's check the versions and end the video because we pretty much covered everything. So here are some of the tweaks you can choose for your customization: keyboard, Windows, startup applications. Let's check the version. 46.1. Let's close it. So HTML document viewer 1.28.1. So here are extensions you can customize according to your wish. I'm not going to go through all those things because it's going to take a lot of time. So you get all the latest versions, so that's a pretty good work, but it's not pretty known Linux distro, so that's the reason I'm not going to recommend you. Let's close it and get the information about the LibreOffice. About LibreOffice, here is the version. Let me close the LibreOffice. Here is the console or I'm sorry, I forgot what it is called. I think B top ++, I think this is called. Let's try to, yeah, it is B top ++. So sometimes my brain just froze up for some reason. That's a common thing which will be found in a guy who makes 2 videos daily. So let's check Shortwell. Here is the version. So it's clearly customizable. You can try to search and install it on your own. Let me close it. Here is the gradients. I understand the consequences. Customize, invite a theme. You can customize, install themes, continue if you want. I don't want to. So the files, already showed you the versions. About files, you can go to the other locations and you can view all the files according to your wish. Here is the Synaptic Package Manager. Let me close. Because of the lag, I can't even properly type on the pointer or use the mouse pointer. The version you guys get is 0.58. Let's see what are the packages installed. The installed packages will be highlighted with the green boxes and the installed version will be on this left side. The package's name will be here and the latest version is available on the right side. So let me quickly scroll it like this. You can just pause the video or you can change the playback speed to properly see what are all the packages installed. Let me close this. I think this is a document viewer or a text editor. The version, you get almost all the GNOME desktop environment applications. The version will be 46 because the GNOME is 46. So these are all the installed applications. And here we have the updates. Here we have the system updates. Maybe it should fix the CPU, a lot of resource consuming there. So there are a lot of updates here. I think it should be maybe like a 1 GB of file size, I guess. About software, preference, software repositories, you can customize according to your wish. Close. So these are all the updates you get. Let's close it. So here is the disk. Let's check the version. It should be 46 as well. Let's go to the system monitor and see. So at the end of the video, the CPU is like this. RAM is almost 2.8 with cache 3.6 GB. And the process running right now are here. So you got all the information. If I forgot anything, do let me know in the comment section. Let's see the logout screen and end the video because we covered almost everything, I guess. So let's wait until the logout screen is in front of us. So if you want to install, you can directly install from the boot option. So here is the accessibility, and again these are all from the same desktop environment.